Now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome in to RBLR Rays here at RBLR Sports. My name is Yurika Wheeler here for part 2 of a double-sized edition of RBLR Rays. And for this time, you had been Whitelaw last time. We talked stats, we talked analytics. This time, it's time to talk with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Zach Blaine. Mr. Blaine, what's good, my guy?
What is going on, brother? Just excited to talk some baseball, man. I was a little worried I wasn't going to get to do the show because of cheer and fundraising stuff, but you know what? We're here.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Well, it's our goal to be doing this in a week, every week, like Kevin Cash says. Again, if you missed part 1, Ben and I do talk about a statistic that Mr. Whitelaw has cooked up all by himself. There is a link to his leaderboard, a little intro of what that statistic means, and we go into it for about half an hour on yesterday's podcast. So if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, you name it, it's right there. Click like, click subscribe, and you can get that as well as every other episode that we do. But Zach, I wanted to. This is a special day. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but today is the 2nd of October as we record this. It is RBLR's second birthday, Zach.
No way.
Yeah, man.
I did not know that. I know I've been on for a little over a year now, but that's exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, the very first episode we ever did was Musab, who's on the RBLR Bucks team. Musab and I talking about the Stanley Cup, about just being raised for the first time of the back-to-back. We were just talking about the Rays getting heated up on their World Series run. We were talking about the Rowdies going on a run in the playoffs. It was the very beginning of Tampa Bay and this wonderful run that we are currently still in. But it's exciting to know that we're entering our third year of talking about Tampa Bay sports, man. So, but Zach, you were one of the big guys that we've brought in. Leveling up meant bringing in better guys. So, I guess I'll fire this right at you, man. How did you feel about this week of Rays baseball?
We clinched. So we clinched a wild card berth, which was kind of the fear that some Rays fans had, is that we might not make it. Did we do as good as we all wanted to? No, we wanted that first place spot, but the Yankees unfortunately just did not have the fall from grace that we were expecting. So overall, you can't be mad about clinching a playoff spot. We are 4-0 in playoff games, so it's looking positive. It's not where we wanted to be, I will say.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think I'm going to take a bigger picture approach because if we just go line by line this week, it's just a bunch of heartbreak and one-run losses, and we only won a couple games this entire week.
Yeah.
But we have to remember this is the downslope of a valley, because over the last week we won every game, or I think we lost one game over the last 7 days before this. So peaks,
something like that.
Valleys, but I think you hit it right on the head, is that we clinched. And to be honest with you, at this point, with the mountain of injuries and like 40 different dudes that have been in the lineup and the 10,000 people that have pitched an inning for this team, all that matters is that for the 4th consecutive year and the 8th time in team history, we are going, and we have a chance at the World Series.
Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, that's what's important. We're now 4 seasons in a row of making the playoffs. Like we are officially one of those teams that if we don't make the playoffs, it's a surprise.
Yeah, it's just they keep building on it, and this one was a different one. I remember listening to you guys talk about the preview of the season, and both of you were very high that this was a 100-win baseball team, that this was going to be, possibly we were probably going to win the division, and then it's all about having a killer rotation. Well, unfortunately, we saw just a litany of injuries kind of derail that. And in their place, we've learned about a bunch of new guys that we
Yeah.
might not have even thought we're going to see this year, and a couple trades they made to shore up a couple spots, and guys that are going to be very important in the playoff run. Let's get to our big topic, because I think that leads into what we're really getting at, which is that the playoffs are where our focus is now. We do still have a few games this week. They will play Boston for a 3-game series. I believe they do play one more game against Houston today, I believe. But in reality, man, we're looking for playoff positioning a little bit, but I don't think anyone really cares who they play. We will get into that about who we would want them to play, but it's really just stay healthy, see where the chips fall, and just kind of stay hot for the playoffs that are happening.
Yeah.
The next time we talk, we will have at least one playoff game in the books. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think we have one game before we talk.
So what's your big topic? What do you want to talk about first?
So my big topic is, like you said, it plays right into talking about playoffs, but what does Tampa need to do to make a run? Like, what are some things that we believe are important for us to focus on in the playoffs in order to make a run to the World Series? So I wanted to kind of get your take on what you thought was important or what we need to improve upon to do this.
Why don't you drop your bomb first? I've been talking a lot.
Okay, yeah, no, that works for me too. So my big thing, we have not been able to produce against quality pitchers.
Okay.
So I think a big part plays into our offense and what we need to do, what spark we need for that to go. I think we have guys like Yandy, who's been hot all season.
Yeah.
Randy's looking good as of recently. I mean, he hit 20-something home runs, 30 stolen bases. Like, he's on fire. But a lot of our guys on the lower end of the lineup are not looking so good.
Okay.
So I think that's my big takeaway is we need to be able to produce better against quality pitchers and quality starts.
Yeah, well, that's the only pitching you're going to face in the playoffs. I've talked to Ben. Ben's wrote a few articles about basically you need it's like 60 quality innings and you'll be in the hunt, if not winning the World Series.
Yeah.
I think you're focusing more on the offensive side of the ball, and so I agree with you, man. Because for me, it's going to take an army. I don't think like we will be leaning on Wander Franco. We will be leaning on Randy Arozarena, and those guys I think are going to. I mean, but those guys are generational talents anyway.
Yeah.
The real story is. Because Franco and Arozarena, those are guys you could just stick right in the middle of your lineup or anywhere in the first 4 or 5 guys. It doesn't even matter, to be honest with you, as long as they're with each other, up, down. I don't care if Randy's leading off or Wander's leading off or hitting fourth. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it is. We've seen Yandy Diaz have an amazing year, and he's still hot right now. Even right now, is Diaz gonna step up? Is Harold Ramirez gonna step up? Is Jose Siri gonna go on a tear? Is Isaac Paredes gonna there's maybe a little later on in the show we'll talk about how Isaac played, but there are guys that they're gonna have to, especially Paredes, maybe Peralta, who they brought in specifically for hitting. You're seeing you need to have those guys level up for the playoffs, but you need to hope that a Diaz or these guys that aren't your superstar guys, Bethancourt, we're looking for as much offense as we can because we have a whole team of people that those guys are taking over for. These weren't even the guys that were supposed to be on the team because we were thinking we thought we'd have Mike Zunino, we thought we'd have Kevin Kiermaier, we thought we'd have Brandon Lau, we thought we'd have guys in the lineup that are like Brandon Lau. I'll joke, you can joke what you want in the playoffs, but But Brandon Lau is been consistently the best, if not one of the top 3 hitters for the Rays, just completely, like since he's been on the team.
Without a doubt, and that's, you look at that, and I know that Ben is a big proponent on this.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he's having a slump, teams still don't want to pitch to him because he is that guy on our team.
Yeah.
So with him in the lineup, it makes them kind of try to pitch around those people in front of him and behind him. So it makes it a lot easier for other people to get on base because they don't want to pitch to Lau. And now with him out, who is that guy? I don't think that we have that guy right now with the way that everyone is playing. I don't think we have that guy right now that teams are like, all right, we don't want to pitch to him.
Yeah, well, I think the story of the Rays, when we, when we go win the World Series now, right, and we look back and we say, oh, damn, how'd they do it? Again, I think Wander is a consistent. I think Randy is a consistent. And there's going to be games that they get 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 or whatever. But for the most part, I kind of just expect those guys to show up and be dominant. But that's only 2 out of 9 guys. Okay, so elite pitching staffs will be able to say, whatever, he gets a hit. Or maybe they just walk him. Maybe just walk him every day. Here you go. We'll just walk you. We'll take you out of the lineup. Put you on first. Make Peralta bring you in. Make Isak bring you in. Make everyone else kind of bat up. And that's going to be the story is those 2 dudes will be consistent, I expect. And then who's the hero of the game? Maybe that's a good tagline for the show is like, who's the hero going to be? Because it's going to, in my opinion, it's going to be, oh my God, Bethancourt went 3 for 5. Oh my God, like that's unexpected. Oh my God, Jose Siri had a extra base hit with his speed. He dragged, in a 1-run game, he raised the run expectancy by turning a double into a triple. That stuff like that on the finest of margins is how this Rays team is going to progress in the playoffs. I think that if we had, and I'll go into my side of that, is it more on the pitching side. But since you're focused on the hitting side, I think it's the same story where they don't have these giant superstars 1 through 9 in the lineup that are just going to overpower everybody. We're kind of not sneaking in, but we're a wild card team for a reason, mostly outside of their control. But the team that they've assembled is a death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of thing. You don't know where it's coming from, and but I said this yesterday, is like in the long run, the Rays have found these dudes. They just like manufacture these guys that you've never heard of, or they kind of got cast off from another team, and they rise to the occasion. And it's like in the long run, we win. In the long run, we succeed, and all these guys do it. It's just, can you get a nice nexus of those people performing at the same exact time? And that's literally the difference between a World Series champion and a guy who's going to get bounced out in the wild card. So on the other side, though, I talked about Lau and KK and I don't think any of us imagined when we were all sitting here talking about 100 wins, we wouldn't have Shane Boz, we wouldn't have Ryan Yarborough, we wouldn't have Nick Anderson, we wouldn't have Andrew Kittredge, we wouldn't have JP Fireeisen, we wouldn't have Ryan Thompson. So I'll truncate it because it's a lot of the same opinions on the offensive side, but we're hoping that guys like Poche, Chargois, Faucher, Clevenger, Armstrong, that these are the guys that step up on the mound, because we don't have a 7-inning guy. So it's going to be a litany of 1-inning guys, just one after another. It's going to be a phalanx of arms that the box score is just going to be twice as long as every other team's, because it's going to be a guy throwing 1 inning, and then another guy throws an inning, another guy throws just 3 guys, and then I think that's the way they're going to approach it. Now, how do you feel about how the Rays are going to approach pitching in the playoffs?
So I think you're exactly right. We look at our stud starters, and you look at Shane McClanahan. I mean, in his last 3 or 4 starts, I don't think he's gone over 5 innings. And granted, I know that he's coming off of an injury, but when you look at it like that, he is our stud pitcher. He's our ace right now, and he hasn't been able to go over 5 innings. Yeah. Drew Rasmussen, I believe, went 7 innings in his start, struck out 3. But I mean, so it's just like you look at that stuff and you almost have to kind of assume that it's going to be a, like you said, one inning here, one inning there, one inning here. It's going to be heavily put into the arms of our bullpen.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, again, you're 100% right. We have to rely on those guys that maybe we weren't counting on relying on at the end of the season or the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Well, that goes into my big topic, which is how Tyler Glasnow is going to be used in the playoffs. We reached out to you, the listeners, out on Twitter, and we asked, what are your comments and concerns? And we weren't able to get to all of them last week, last episode yesterday. But on this episode, one that we were all discussing in the chat is that, how is Tyler Glasnow going to be used in the playoffs? That's a great question that one of our listeners brought up. And I think the rotation, if you're talking about a three-man rotation, which I think is what it's going to be for the playoffs, it's McClanahan first. I think Glasnow starts game 2.
Ooh.
And I think Rasmussen is your third guy in a three-man rotation. And the reason I say that is because I think you're only going to get 4 innings out of Glasnow. And I think it's, one, you're trying to ramp him up off of injury, like you just said, with a couple other guys, like every other player on this roster. But I think you attach another bulk guy to him. So you for example, I think I throw Glasnow out there for 4 innings, depending on success, of course. If he's just getting batted around, you got to bring another guy in. But let's just say this is a good game. Glasnow gets 4 innings. Then you bring in a guy like Jeffrey Springs, or you bring a guy like Kluber. Instead of starting him as the 4th person in a 4-man rotation, you attach him to Glasnow in game 2. So Klubs or Springs comes in for 2 or 3 innings off of Glasnow's 4, or maybe 5 if he's really feeling it. As we get deeper in the playoffs, you can maybe get him to 5, only if he's really dealing and he's on fire. And then you have 2 or 3 one-inning guys come in and mop up duty, or if the game's out of reach, you get a couple innings out of somebody to not burn an arm. But in a best-case scenario, you get Glasnow for 4, say Klubs for 3, and then you got a couple one-inning guys mop up the rest of the way. And then you just hope that we scored 3 or 4 runs, and that's enough to get you over the hump. How do you feel about that, though? I see you nodding your head. Maybe you're agreeing with some of this, but I'm taking Kluber out of the rotation and I'm attaching him to Glasnow as like a double-headed dragon.
Yeah, see, I agree with that 100%. I don't know that he's our day 2 starter, but
okay.
I agree with your 3-man rotation. I think that is going to be the rotation. It's going to be McClanahan first. I know he's had a couple of less than stellar outings, but I do think Tampa has all the faith in the world in him. He is our ace, like I said before.
Yep.
So I see him being our game 1 starter, and then game 2 and game 3, I think that's where it just whoever they feel better about at that time. I'm okay with Glasnow pitching day 2. I'm okay with Raz pitching game 2. I think that Kluber out of the bullpen is something that I'm excited for, but also scared for because I haven't seen him in that role.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's worrisome that we're at the point where like our number 3 starter is we're talking about him being a bullpen guy, because I think getting a 4-inning game out of Glasnow right now, what he's pitched 1 or 2 games at the majors so far. I think it's only been 1.
Yeah. He pitched this week.
Yeah. So it's like looking at it and thinking we're going to get 4 or 5 innings out of him is very, very high hopes. I do think, again, I think he's going to be a starter for us in the playoffs, but I think it's going to be a 2, maybe 3 inning foray into getting back active because it was a major surgery. It was a major injury. So I think it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, and a lot of this goes into psychology. I mean, I think the Snyder and Cash and the whole organization, I think they've built a mentality to I don't want to say next man up, but it's like everybody's ready at the same time. So it's kind of like if you're telling Kluber, warm up the same exact way that you would warm up for a start. It's going to be the third inning. Like you're coming in. Like you whatever their game plan is. Because you could even, if time is a thing, or if there's some crazy happenings that happen in the first inning or something like that, you could maybe bring a guy in before you put Klubers in. But I doubt it. I think it would just be like, you're coming in next after Glasnow. Be ready for it. You have 5 days to prepare for it now. You can get your mind right, get your routine going, and so it isn't as weird as like you just randomly like, who do I need? Grab me Klubes, Yeah,
just have him show up to the clubhouse 30 minutes late, 40 minutes late. It's a normal start. You're
day.
good.
Yeah,
come on in.
Oh,
the game actually starts in the 4th inning today.
Correct.
Like,
yeah.
so.
Well, and if he was a young guy, I don't know if I would put him in this role, but it's Cy Young winning Corey Kluber, who's a veteran of this game. Like,
yeah.
Guess what? Big time calls for big time pitchers. So it's why we brought him in. It's why we had because Klubes to me is in that Waka Rich Hill role. We just happen to have Corey Kluber in that role, which is that's phenomenal. Charlie Morton, I guess, was the guy before all of that.
Well,
right?
Speaking of Charlie Morton, I mean that guy just got a $20 million
let's go
extension again. So it's like, looking back at it, how much would you love to have him right now?
Oh my
Good
God.
Lord.
Well, how does his family feel? Like he's like, I'm gonna retire. I got one more year in me. I'll go to Atlanta for this is the twilight of my career. Oh wait,
yeah, we traded him to Atlanta literally with we're helping him out.
Man.
Go to Atlanta. You're good to go.
Yeah.
You played out your career. You're done, and now he's getting $20 million for one season. I think it might even be more than that, but I think it was $20 million for one season.
Yeah,
next season.
Maybe it's the opposite of the Tom Brady thing. His wife's like, dude, just keep pitching. Like,
keep making that money, baby. Keep making that money.
Go get that bag, buddy. All right. Well, we talked about pitching. We've talked about hitting, and now let's talk about some of the opponents. Zach, Ben and I talked in part 1 of this week about which team. This was another question we got from listeners. Which team out of Seattle, Toronto, or Cleveland will you, Zach Blaine, want to face in the first round of the playoffs? So,
this is kind of a loaded question because all of these teams have good and bad. Unfortunately, the one team I can tell you adamantly up front I do not want to face is Toronto.
Ooh. Okay.
Their lineup is so good.
Okay.
Everyone in that lineup I feel like has good games against the Rays, which is terrifying.
That's true.
Seattle, they're on kind of a downslope. They're not looking so hot. I would not mind playing them.
Really? Okay.
See, so if you would have asked me this a month ago,
my guy, all right.
If you would have asked me this a month ago, Seattle was the team I wouldn't have wanted to play.
Okay.
Like I will man enough to admit that I would not have wanted to play Seattle a month ago.
Yeah.
Now they just don't look like that team that was making a run, to me anyway. And now, granted, I don't watch very much Seattle games. This is just from box scores and,
you're not
stuff like
up
that.
Late with the Blaine boys watching West Coast baseball?
No, I'm not. I'm not staying up. It's hard enough to watch Oregon State games when they don't play at 2:00. So it's like I don't stay up late for those games. But I know that Julio Rodriguez, their star player right now, I think he's injured or was injured, so he's coming back. But that's just a team that I'm not super scared of. Cleveland is that in-between team. It depends on how they play, what kind of mood Tampa's in. Yep. Cleveland is a scary team. So if I had to pick like who I want to play, it'd be Seattle, Cleveland, with Toronto being the very last team for me.
See, I'm kind of flipped on Seattle. I don't want the smoke in the first round. I think Seattle's a team of destiny right now. They're riding a wave. 21 years, no playoffs. They're on a whole different. They got different juju baseball god kind of stuff. All right, I don't want that smoke. Although and here's the other thing is like we're 5-2 against them this season, but let's not forget like we usually Well, and traveling all the way to Seattle on the road, it's hard enough. We're not going to play at the Trop probably until.
What? Aren't they ranked below us though? So wouldn't they
Well, who
play
knows?
us?
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
tight.
yeah, we still do
I'm
have a
just
few
saying,
games.
I'm just saying, like, yeah. And who knows if we actually want to win against, or if Boston wants to play spoiler and they just want to beat us or something. But anyway, just it's more of a. I mean, they're hot, and they're hot with dudes that. Like Cal Rayleigh is batting almost twice as good as the average. Jared Kelenic is out of his mind right now. They got George Kirby, who although he's walked more guys than I would be comfortable with, but the dude he strikes out guys left and right, and he's got a pretty low FIP too. So it's like he does what it is. Toronto, I'm less scared of them than you are because familiarity.
That's interesting, though.
We're 10-9 against them this year, and the thing about Toronto is you never know who shows up. You know,
Yeah.
The I mean, look, I agree with you though. When you get like Whit Merrifield, George Springer, Vlad Guerrero Jr., these are dudes they're killing it. And then, but the problem is, past Alek Manoah and Kevin Gausman, like, then what?
Yeah, so that I see what you're saying, and that does play into exactly what I was saying earlier about we're not good against elite pitching.
Sure.
So they realistically only have one elite pitcher in Manoah.
Yeah, Manoah is hands down. Yeah.
So you're not wrong in that aspect. I do think that's our, like, if we want to score the most, I think we would score the most runs against Toronto, like, without a doubt. Now, my worry is with Toronto that their offense is going to force us to have to score a lot more runs, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, you got to score more runs to win.
At least
like,
one, right? Yeah.
Obviously, like, I mean, I get that, but I feel like if we play, say, Seattle, where I agree that 21, like, they're the story team this year. So I agree with that. But I don't think their offense is as potent as Toronto's. So we don't have to score as much runs or as many runs to win that series. It's a 3-game series, correct?
Right. Well, and that's why I like Cleveland. Cleveland's who I want to play in a 3-game series. In a 7-game series or a long series, I'm less scared about Toronto. In a long series, I'm less scared about Seattle, even though like I just think they I think they're working with wind at their back there. Cleveland, though, Cleveland's who I picked because they have Tristan McKenzie. Let's give the man his flowers, okay?
Great young pitcher.
But their pen could let them down. So it's
I couldn't name an Indians bullpen arm.
You as long as you survive, Tristan McKenzie and they had a Quantrill has been killing it recently.
Did they have Bieber still, or is he on?
They have Bieber, right?
Bieber's a stud too.
So, but it's basically just survive 5 innings and then. But this is how the Rays are built. How many we're talking about a little bit, but how many games have come down to bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. We just had a rally, okay? 7th, 8th, 9th inning homers, comebacks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a game against Cleveland where we had bases loaded before a rain delay with 1 out.
Yeah, correct. So
and come back and lose that game.
So, but on the other side, they're pinning their hopes on untested bats. Stephen Kwan killing it, but he's a rookie. Yeah. I mean, but Stephen Kwan is on dude,
he's on a tear.
Killing it. He's got 12 ribbies in 13 games. He's batting .217, weighted runs created plus. But Andres Jimenez, Ahmed Rosario, in a 3-game series, this is who I want to play because I think we can survive Cleveland, even though we've lost 4 of the 6 games we played against them. Again, regular season, whatever. I don't care. But,
they're one of those teams too that doesn't have very much playoff experience.
But Cleveland has definitely shown that they've got young talent. Man, the Guardians are going to be pretty killer next year. But maybe they've got a little bit of that Rays juice we had a couple years ago with Randy coming out and rookie sensations. But but I doubt it. I mean, if I had to pick between Seattle, Toronto, and Cleveland, I pick the Guardians.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that. But I will say there is one team that I would not want to face in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that would be a team that is fully stocked on shop.rblrsports.com
Ooh,
merchandise.
that's the heat. That's the heat right there. Zach.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm telling you that makes you a better team all around.
Yeah.
Not only does it help team building, it automatically updates every stat you have plus one.
You'll definitely be at the top of Weezer if you're wearing an
Yeah,
RBLR
exactly.
shirt.
Say it ain't so, baby. But but no, that is, if you haven't checked out all of the merch at shop.rblrsports.com, we have every Tampa Bay team inspired gear. We have Rays inspired, Bucks inspired, Rowdies inspired. We got the Lightning. We got some Bandits merch. I'm telling you, if you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out. Yurika, you have a discount code for them, right?
I do. The people, my people, our people, can go to shop.rblrsports.com. There's a link right in the description of wherever you're listening to this. If you use the promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY, in honor of our Flappy boys making it all the way to the playoffs, you're going to get 10% off your entire order. So Zach's not lying to you. We've got shirts celebrating the Rowdies, the Rays, the Bucks, the Lightning, the Bandits. Man, whatever your fandom encompasses in Tampa Bay, we are here to celebrate it. We are here to give you... Zach, did you see... I talked about this with Ben, but dude, did you see the picture of Will? He's one of our listeners on Twitter, putting a picture of himself and his family or friends. He had a nice little gathering. We have 3 beautiful people wearing that Bring Back the Devil shirt on Devil Rays Day, baby. It was phenomenal.
So I did see it, and that is by far one of my favorite shirts that we have.
Let's
so
go.
I thank you very much, Will. We appreciate you for that.
Yeah,
It means the world, bud.
Yeah, man.
And it's just, without you guys doing that, we wouldn't be where we are today. We wouldn't be going into year 3.
Yep. Well, and to tweet those shirts, man, tag us. We are at RBLR Sports on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. You name it, man. Show us your shirts, baby. Let's go. This might be the depressing part, but we won't get too line by line about it. But this week was kind of bad in terms of results, other than we clinched the playoff spot. So what are the big things you got out of the Toronto series?
Yeah, the big things out of the Toronto series, they can score runs. I mean,
Sure.
they took on some of our better pitchers towards the end of the series, and they made us pay for it.
Yeah.
They were proving why they wanted to, like, if I'm not mistaken, they clinched the playoff spot playing us.
Yeah.
I mean, it was due to a Baltimore loss, but irrelevant. They still beat us.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just one of those things, man, where they showed us exactly why I'm kind of worried to face them.
Yeah, I mean, we beat them 10-5 and 10-6 in Game 1 and Game 2, and then we lose 3-1 and 7-1. Rasmussen started pretty well, other than giving up a 3-run home run. I mean, other than that, he pitched 6 innings of 3-hit baseball.
Exactly.
And you're playing against Alek Manoah, who is phenomenal. Master Bioni. I have to work on that.
Master Boni.
Sir, this is a family podcast. We can't. So I have to figure out how to say his name by the next season. But him and Franco, they turned the 6-4-3 double play that was like beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
And it's like I was peering into the future of Rays baseball. So Randy also made it to the 40 doubles, 20 homers, 30 stolen base club, which only Mookie Betts and him have done that in the last 4 years. so he's pretty
Who's
good.
Mookie Betts?
Yeah, exactly. Mookie who? That boy got paid. So
Oh my god, and he's a stud.
yeah,
bro.
he's the man.
He's so good.
But McClanahan worked the zone pretty well. Toronto was able to get dinky little hit here, opposite hit here. I don't know. But my problem was Isak Paredes, man. I mentioned it earlier in the show. Isak just can't do this with runners in scoring position. In a tie ball game, it's runners at the corners, and it's a 0-0 game, and he taps it to the pitcher. Only to come back a few innings later, runners at the corners in a 3-1 ball game, and he grounds it to third, and it's just an easy out. Both with 2 outs, I believe. He just didn't have it in this game. So he's going to have to be one of those guys that steps up in the playoffs because every at bat counts. What about Cleveland? This was interesting because we were looking to clinch towards the end of it, but we won the first one in extra innings by 1 run, and then we turn around and lose 2 straight 2-1 ball games. How'd you feel about Cleveland?
Yeah, I think Harold Ramirez showed us that he could be a factor in the playoffs in this series. He played very well. Overall, Cleveland was a kind of a down thing for me. I know we won the first game in extras. I don't want to be going to extras as the Rays, though.
Yeah.
Because I know that our record's not terrible in extra innings, but it's not great either.
Yeah.
So with these close games, I do think that plays well for us because the odds of us scoring 1 run a game are slim, like especially in the playoffs. So with these 1 run, the 1-2, I think both of the losses were 2-1 losses.
Yep.
So looking at it from that point of view, I'm not stressing it too much because I do think that the odds of us scoring 1 run in a game are slim when you're the Rays. But I mean, anything can happen, and that's kind of what worries me with Cleveland, I guess.
Yeah, this was close to playoff baseball as I think we've seen in a while. The first game that we won was a exciting back and forth game. Klub's got the start, but he got hit around a little bit in the beginning. The Rays jumped out to a 4-1 lead, but then the Guardians climbed back with some small ball. But here was the cool thing, man. For Cleveland, Iñigo de los Santos throws an immaculate inning against the Rays, unfortunately, but dude, I know he's a Guardian, but it's the 112th all time that has ever happened.
Like, as a baseball fan, like, okay, so we're Rays fans. As a baseball fan, to see something that has only happened 112 times in the history of baseball, like, you have to be able to look at that and be like, wow, it's amazing, and it's something, like you said, super cool that, we might not be able to see very often. And Valtteri very clearly is not a fan of that, so it is okay.
Yeah, I was going to edit that out, but since you talked about it, I'll just leave it in there. We just moved, man, with all this hurricane stuff and moving. Thankfully, he's been patient enough to watch some baseball with me. So he's now lived in a lifetime where there's a guy that threw an immaculate inning. Now I have some trivia for you, Mr. Blaine.
Okay, oh God.
Because the Rays are kind of like, out of 112 times, they've been a part of almost 10, it's less than 10% of them, but they're involved in some way. How many Rays do you think have done this? Because we have done this. So if I had to guess, it's more than 0.
And
less than 112.
So less than 100. I was gonna say 113. Shoot. No, if I had to realistically say, I'd say probably 2 or 3.
It's 3. 3 guys.
Okay.
Rafael Soriano did it in 2010.
Not who I would have guessed.
Brad Boxberger did it in 2014.
That would have been one of my guesses.
Killer year there. And Jose Alvarado did it in 2017.
Okay, I could see that.
But
Alvarado, he's playing for the Phillies now, isn't he?
I'd have to look that up, yeah.
He was a stud when he played for Tampa.
But it's happened 6 times against us. Now maybe
6 times.
Now maybe that's because, let's not mince words. We've had some dog days, right? In Devil Ray history, right?
We haven't always been a playoff team, to say the least.
Yeah. But still, it's happened 6 times against us. The last time it happened against us was 2019. But the first one that happened to us, I think it was Mike Mussina did it against the Devil Rays back in in the early 90s. One of the first few years we were
again around. Another stud though.
Yeah,
he was a
Hall of Famer. Right? But anyway, that was pretty funny. But it was fun to look at that. But like 9 times, we've been a part of it out of 100
of some sort. It still counts.
It's crazy.
Hall of Fame. The Rays are in the Hall of Fame. The whole Rays team Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, 1-run games. I mean, I thought Glasnow in his return, he got hammered a little bit by Arias, but I thought he did fine. He struck out 3. He pitched 3. He gave up 2 hits. Big deal. One of the games, Siri and Margot, kind of in succession, got caught stealing. I know people are against the aggressive base running. I'm all for it because look, man, we're going to need every run we can get, and we're tooled for it. We are tooled, and if you can get that run expectancy up as much as you can, get a guy on third, okay. Lose a guy from getting caught stealing, it's going to happen. But I want I want Randy aggressive. I want Siri aggressive. I want Margot aggressive. I want everyone aggressive on the base.
You have these guys for a reason, and all three of those guys that you mentioned are very fast, and that is what they're good at is stealing. So I'm not mad about them sending. I think they should.
We're going to need to pull out some crazy look, people are going to be laughing about how we play baseball. Oh, they're running. That's not how you should do it. Oh, they're using 30 dudes on the mound. That's not how you should do it. If we get the wins and we get the out, you need 27 outs and one more run. That's what you need. So I don't care how you get it, and we're tooled to do it in many different ways.
4 straight years of playoffs.
Let's go.
If you don't think that's the way we're supposed to do it, then clearly you're not watching something.
The last series we had was Houston. We start that off. So the last Cleveland game, we were trying to clinch with a win, and we got buzzsawed by Quantrill. Cleveland, it was a close game the whole entire game. Cleveland has an 8th inning rally that takes the lead. The Rays actually get walked 3 straight times to load the bases. G-Man Choi strikes out. Isak bloops out. Kind of just continuing my story on Isak Paredes today. But then they go to Houston, and they actually do the damn thing. They clinch with a Rasmussen start, who he gave up a first-inning homer, and then he just pitched a pretty solid game after that.
Yeah.
But it was the offense that was the. I mean, I was making a joke that we hit for the RBI cycle. Like, we had a single, we had a double, we had a triple, we had a home run. Like,
yeah. I mean, and that's what you need. It makes it just that much more exciting to me that we clinched against literally the best team in the American League and the second best team in all of baseball.
Correct.
It did also get the Astros home field advantage in the playoffs, but like in reality, who cares?
Yeah.
Because we're still going to beat them. Fingers crossed, anyway.
Yeah, I think we'll see them. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it was awesome to clinch, and it just made it that much better that it was against the best team in the American League.
And then the other game, 2-1 loss that we saw last night. We had 4 hits completely in the entire game. We ran
not a good outing.
Well, part of it was we ran into Christian Javier, who owns the longest active scoreless streak in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
He's just killing it right now. But our boy, David Peralta, was 2 of the 4 hits in this game, and that was enough to get him his 1,000th career hit. David Peralta, baby.
Hey.
Jump on the train.
Congratulations, man. Yeah, good for you, brother. Good for you.
So was David Peralta your bat of the week?
With a story like that, he should be, but he wasn't.
Oh, come on, man.
I went with Harold Ramirez. I think that he had a very solid week of baseball. I think he had 4 or 5 RBIs throughout the week, which was not, when you look at it like in the grand scheme of a whole season, like a span of 5 RBIs is not that impressive. But when you look at how many 1-run games we had this week, 5 RBIs is pretty impressive.
Well, it was probably 14 at bats or something like that. So it's
and 30%
to do it in
of
them
limited
are RBIs. Yeah,
exactly. To do it in a limited capacity like he does, I mean, I think that he's my bat of the week, and I think that he is someone to look at in the playoffs.
I completely agree with you with Harold Ramirez. I'll dig a little deeper. He was 39% better than the average baseball hitter this week with 1 runs created plus. He had an 810 OPS. He did have 4 ribbies, and he batted well average. So it's like he hit for contact. He hit. He brought guys in. He just did the damn thing. Harold Ramirez, 100%. I agree with you. Highlight of the week. Arm of the week, though, I think we might have 2 different guys.
Yeah, I think we disagreed a little.
I went with Calvin Faucher. He had 3 games that he played. In those 3 games, he had 0 earned runs, had a 1.62 FIP, and he does things a little differently. Almost 64% of his balls were ground balls that our defense is going to just be able to eat up. Wander Franco just eats those things up and get him over there. And he was one of the leaders in wins above replacement this week. This is going to be one of these guys that we need to be built on in the playoffs. That it isn't Shane Boz coming through that door to do things. It's going to be Calvin Faucher's and
Jeffrey Springs
and Clevenger and these guys that that we're going to call on. But I'm pretty sure we disagree. So what's your arm in the
Yeah. So I went with kind of an unexpected one.
Okay.
I mean, not for everyone who listens and knows my affinity with this man, but with his performance. It wasn't he did perform twice this week.
Okay.
But I went with Drew Rasmussen.
I like Raz. Yeah.
The Houston game is kind of what did it for me. He pitched to one of the best lineups in baseball. Only allowed 5 hits, like you said. They had that first inning on him, and then he tightened up. He did strike out only 3 in that game, but I mean, we don't necessarily expect Raz to come out and strike out 10.
Yeah.
He has the ability to, but we don't expect that.
Yeah.
So the first game he lost against, I believe it was Toronto, and like you said, it was that 1 3-run home run is really all that he gave up.
Yeah.
I believe he had 5 strikeouts in that game. So to look at him and just see what he's been able to do, and the last outing he had against Houston, he got rocked. So to see him be able to come out and put that behind him and pitch the way that he did, and he gave us 7 quality innings, like you can't expect more than that from a starting pitcher at this point in the year on the Rays. So that's who I went with for those reasons.
I dig it. I'll give you Harold Ramirez. You give me Calvin Faucher. Those will be our guys of the week.
Deal. I'm cool with that. I like
those
Calvin
are the guys
Faucher,
I picked, so I'm just going with my guys. That's what I'm doing.
That seems fair.
I'm pulling
the producer card. I'll take it.
You know how we roll, buddy. No, I'm just joking. Well, dude, this has been fun, man. It's always fun to step in. We wanted to do, with all of the serious things that happened this week, we wanted to make sure that we gave you a little bit of distraction with 2 Rays baseball episodes this weekend and get you ready for the playoffs. So the next time we talk, we will be talking about playoff baseball. But in the meantime, if you can, in the link of the description of this podcast, there are a couple links to resources that you can donate for our friends down in the Sarasota, Fort Myers, that whole area down there, as well as many other areas that got affected in Florida and the United States by Hurricane Ian. So, look, go buy a T-shirt if you want. It helps us directly, but don't do that. Please, if you got this far in the episode, go into the description, click the links for Feeding Florida, for Red Cross, for the things that we've gotten there. If you got an extra couple bucks in your pocket, throw it that way for people that really, really, really need it. But Zach, I'll give you the last word, sir. This was a phenomenal episode. Thanks for letting us have a distraction. Thanks for having a great conversation with me, and I'm ready to do this anytime, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I think Yurika touched on it. I might not live in Florida anymore. I moved out to Tennessee about 6-8 months ago. But Florida will always be home to me. My family still lives there. So for all of you guys there, please stay safe. And like Yurika said, if you could donate anything, literally anything helps at this point. People are in need. So aside from that, subscribe to everything. Kind of end on a somber note, but I know Florida's going to get through it. We are Florida for a reason. So go Rays.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.